Welcome back, everybody. Appreciate you for being here. I am the Gold Digger. If you don't know who I am a trader, I'm a traveler, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a biohacker, a mentor, and by day trade, I'm a cloud computing expert. Today, we're going to continue our series on consistency with a good friend of mine, Bazza, aka Barry, aka Successful Sleeper. He's going to be taking me through some of the questions that I had as it relates to trading and what we can do as traders to make sure and ensure that we are prepared and fully rested for our trading sessions ahead. This has some fantastic bits of knowledge when it comes to chronotype identification, little recovery breaks, and all the things that you could possibly use in your day-to-day to make sure that the strategies that you are executing in the market are rock solid and you are prepared for them. My audio unfortunately wasn't the best on this, so I'm going to splice this up in a way that makes it you the viewer an easier watch, and you can understand perfectly well what it is that Barry is responding to. So without further ado, please join me with Barry Bridges, aka the Successful Sleeper.
I love gold so much that I even lost my genitalia in an unfortunate smelting accident.
Today, I'm going to be following up with the series that I'm bringing out on consistency. And what better to talk about consistency than an absolute legend of the game in terms of sleeping and high performance coaching is my friend, my long-term friend, and somebody that's helped me out tremendously in my sleep game in order to make sure that I'm woken up every morning with the motivation, with the enthusiasm, with the energy and the beans to get things going. So over to you, Barry, if you want to give us a short introduction on yourself and your illustrious career, as it were.
Wow, where's the red carpet? I need the red carpet. What an introduction. Cool, man. Yeah, so, I mean, you've known me for quite some time, Tony, and we've gone through, obviously, the physical coaching, and I got to help you with sleep and recovery coaching. Yeah, and then obviously I started this type of movement 4 years ago with my own brand, Successful Sleeper, during the COVID times where everyone went in a bit of a lockdown mode, as you know. And that's kind of where I built my brand, Successful Sleeper, and obviously it's been building, and I've had lots of opportunities to work with different occupation groups, high performers worldwide, not just locally in South Africa, but also overseas, America, Europe, UK. So yeah, I've had a very fortunate opportunity to work with these high performers. Yeah, I mean, good question. I think sleep is something that we don't obviously find that's something that's sexy. We don't attach it to a performance module like sports science, because it's something we don't really see, we physically do. Sleep is more the outer thing that we want to achieve, which we don't actually have control of in the evening. But I think the main point of the conversation is, how do we unlock this recovery during this day? What is my recovery versus your recovery? And what is the output that you have versus what I do and what you do during the day? So we're all going to have different schedules. We're all going to have different types of sleep chronotypes. And we all have got different functionalities and responsibilities. So your recovery approach is definitely going to be individual for each individual. So when you wake up in the morning, you have to have a prosperity and purpose of what you're doing when you wake up in the morning. It's not about you just going to work and doing what you need to do. That's not recovery. Recovery is when you've got purpose, when you wake up in the day, you're tackling what you want to do, going to your day-to-day job, etc. Whether you're an athlete, trader, or a DJ musician, there needs to be function, there needs to be purpose. And the only way to do that is you need to have this approach within your 90 minutes. There needs to be some form of recovery. And when we talk about the recovery, we talk about sunlight timing, meal timing, movement. That's your activation or recovery, your first 90 minutes of when you wake up. That's how we start this recovery process. So you must think of sleep as the latter output of the equation. The main equation is the recovery. So if your recovery is not good enough, there's no chance that your sleep's you're gonna switch off in the evening. Your brain won't switch off. But if you have this optimized recovery and this recovery strategy for yourself, your brain will be more prepared to switch off in the evening, which is not a guarantee, by the way. It's going to be dependent on how you set you up. So the way you wake up in the morning is going to set you up for the way you're going to sleep at night. And that has many variables attached to that. So the recovery is basically unlocking, say, yourself, you work an 8-hour day in your trading, say you work for a corporate company, like how do you break your day into these 90-minute recovery cycles? And there's a science behind that. It's called ultra-rated rhythms. So basically what it teaches us is that your brain and body will go through different phases every 90 minutes where there's a shutdown period. So there needs to be a recovery block. So basically every 90 minutes you'll get your best high performance of your brain and body, what it needs to do. And then it's going to require a recovery block. You need to be taking at least 5 breaks every 90 minutes of high performance work. Minimum. You're going in, you're doing your high performance work for 90 minutes, and then you're just resetting. You're taking a break, getting up, walking, moving, talking to a colleague, tying your shoelace. Bear in mind, no technology at this point. No cell phone, no computer screen. For 2 to 5 minutes, you can even do 1 minute. And then you get back to what you're doing. So obviously with a trader, it's going to be a bit more difficult. So then when you're in a trading environment, you're going to have to look at what the trader's chronotype is, because a chronotype is going to have different energy dips throughout the day. So you need to know if you've got a morning trader or you're dealing with an evening trader. So a morning trader is going to be like a Ferrari in the morning till 1 o'clock. So you're going to get your morning traders to rather do morning stuff in the morning. So get them to trade early in the morning. If you have an evening chronotype trader, don't get them to do stuff in the morning. Get them to trade rather than evening till early hours in the morning. That's how you get high performance and build recovery within your staff members. Because now you're working with their genetics and DNA.
Throughout the day, you have certain sessions. So you've got like an Asian session, you've got a London session, you've got a New York session. And a lot of guys, including myself, will scope a strategy around a particular session. You know, so I'm particularly fond of like the New York session. So that's opening now in 2 UK time. That'll go all the way to 5 o'clock or something like that. And what you're basically saying is if your chronotype is a morning chronotype, you should probably start to look at like the London session, because that's like 8 a.m. in London that it opens up, and that's when you're going to be at your most alert, your highest sort of energy output and cognitive abilities and stuff like that. I've got that correct?
So that's one way to put it, if you can place them in their chronotype positioning. The second way, you can adapt them to different schedules. So if you're a morning chronotype and you battle with the evening, afternoon, then you're going to build recovery strategies with that individual. If you're an evening chronotype, you're going to build recovery strategies for them in the morning to make them function as a morning person. So remember, chronotypes can be adapted to different shifts. You just need to understand their behavior traits. So for example, if you're a morning chronotype, you're going to work till 1 o'clock and then you're going to go through an energy dip. So then I say you go like in a VW, so you're Ferrari in the morning for a couple of hours and you go through like a VW. So then the morning guys, you'd want them to do recovery strategies in the afternoon. So simple recovery strategies for morning guys after lunch when they go through that dip is sunlight timing, starting taking the recharge, take breaks every 90 minutes. Those are easy things to start doing. That's recovery for them because they get that second wind. When evening chronotype, they're the complete opposite. They need that second wind in the morning because they're half asleep. They don't want to be bothered. So they need to get sunlight timing. They need to start these recharge tech breaks. That I said, every 90 minutes you take a reset break, 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes. So that's how you adapt and change it. So you kind of got to look at recovery as a periodization plan. You know, athletes get a periodization plan through the whole year when they do certain activities to obviously build them up for their sport and game day. You can do the same when it comes to recovery, periodization plan for the individual. Know their scope, know their output, place things in their system. Done. They'll have a better output for sleep. Then you take the less stress off sleep, because I think the problem is everyone talks a sleep game, 8 hours, blah, 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 BS. That's too much stress on the individual. Focus on the recovery of the individual because everyone's unique and different. And that you got to understand. So the thing is with the evening chronotypes, they have these late work schedules where it doesn't relate to the 9 to 5 around the world. That's the issue. So evening chronotypes tend to have late behaviors, dinners late, they're obviously on technology late at night. Where a morning person, the chronotype's typically opposite. They're 9 o'clock in bed, they switch off, no technology, they don't need arousal. They got a nice routine where evening chronotypes I tend to find they're a bit all over the show. There's no real routine. It's not a bad thing, but you just need to use them at certain occupations where, you know, certain occupations are not going to suit that unless you can adapt them and change them. by improving their recovery during the day. That's the only way. I think the main thing is direct morning sunlight, 5 to 30 minutes in the morning with the exposure of 1,000 lux, which you can download an app to measure what the brain is getting. So it has to be 1,000 lux to release a chemical called sleep serotonin. That's it, happy, because even chronotypes are very miserable in the morning. They don't want to be disturbed. You'll normally see them with a lot of cups of coffee, no breakfast and smoking. So I think timing of sunlight morning for them, the evening guys, and then they need to take their tech breaks at least 2 or 3 before lunchtime, because they're going to build up a lot of stress and arousal during that morning shift when they're training. So every 90 minutes, chop it down, 2 to 5 minutes, reset break, do something that's away from technology, go back to what you're doing. Boom.
Thank you. I mean, I think for a lot of us here as kind of sole traders, as individuals, with the kind of flexibility of multiple sessions throughout the day to trade, a lot of high volatility, that's what most of us are looking for. We can adapt to those, and this is good information for anyone out there that wants to maximize a particular session, and I'm definitely going to take some cues from that. In the trading game, risk tolerance, emotional control, these are huge things that you have to have, because you're basically executing like a strategy in the markets, and that strategy is going to sometimes be thrown out the window when you have something not go your way, or you have expectations going into a trade. So how will the lack of sleep affect that?
Yeah, well, mental well-being will be one of them, and then obviously having more resistance with stress. So if you don't get enough sleep quality, it's obviously going to raise your cortisol levels above average, and obviously your stress, you're going to have more of a less resilience towards stress. Because obviously working in trading occupations is a very stressful environment. Day traders, I refer them to as cognitive athletes. So there's not really a physical element with them, but they are cognitive. The brain is the money. If they can't perform with their brain, they can't think outlook, and they're not going to be able to do what they need to do. Same as DJs, musicians, same as esports gamers. Sleep is like the protective barrier for them to perform for the day-to-day functions. But again, it's got to go back and circle back to the recovery elements. I think we too focus on the sleep. What's the recovery outlook for the individual? What's their purpose of the day-to-day responsibilities? What do they do? Some don't even know what they need to do at the job. They just go to the job and do the job because they have to do it. There's no purpose. That's not recovery, that's the stress. Most people don't have a plan of action. They just go to work because they got to get a paycheck, or they're doing something else. So, I mean, everyone has to get a paycheck, but I mean, you need to understand what your function and purpose when you wake up in the morning. What's your prosperity? Do you have intention? Do you like a job? Do you hate your job? Hate your job, that's already stress. Their cortisol's through the roof. There's no recovery. Yeah. So you have to build recovery in whatever you're doing, because if you don't build recovery, there's burnout, there's sleep gets deprived in the evening. Because remember, you don't have control in the evening what you do. Your eyes go to sleep, close, you either go light sleep, deep sleep, no sleep, and you wake up under recovered, or you take the matrix pill, and you take the blue pill, and you have good recovery strategies, and you wake up like a Ferrari every day. Then your brain goes to where it never has been before. That's it. Yeah. And then you've got the energy to do many other things. But if you're tired and fatigued and under-recovered, you're not going to be motivated to do other things in your life situation. So that's going to depend on the individual. Obviously, the time for power naps is between 1 and 3. But if we go back to our earlier conversation on the recovery breaks every 90 minutes, if you take in 2 to 5 minute breaks every 90 minutes, 5 of them, that's actually a power nap if you think of it. You do the maths. That's a power nap, but you're just not physically closing your eyes. Your brain's relaxed. Remember, a nap doesn't mean you have to close your eyes and sleep. A nap can just be, I'm staring at the wall for 20 minutes. That's a nap, because your brain's not responding to anything. It's sleeping. The moment your brain has to respond to a device or a content piece on the internet, that's arousal, that's not recovery, because it's working. Now, I think we can look at something called a breathwork exercise called extended breathing exhales. Basically, you break down your breathing for 4 to 10. So you breathe in for 4, you hold the breath for 2, and then you breathe out for 10. So when you breathe out for the 10 seconds, automatically it switches on your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. And then you're going to feel a state of calm. And the nice thing about the extended breaths, you can do that any time of the day. So I normally recommend that the guys do extended breath work during the day when different stresses come at them, and maybe the box breathing after a stressful, hectic day, maybe 2-3 hours before bed. But another better technique also to do is what I call brain dumping. So brain dumping is a way we express thoughts, whether it's negative or positive, on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But the key thing with the brain dumping is you've got to separate the negative and positive. You can't mix the two together. And I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong. They mix the two together before bedtime and then they can't switch off.
Fair enough.
So fair advice on that is a negative brain dump you do in the first 90 minutes when you wake up in the morning. So anything that stresses you out, write it down. So you clear that, you get away from that. Then before bedtime, you do a positive brain dump. The gratitude, what you're grateful for. And I suggest you do that on a Monday and Friday, because you do it on a Monday, it sets you up for the rest of the week. And if you do it on a Friday, it sets you up for the weekend. You don't want to be thinking of stuff on the weekend and during the week.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you want to eliminate as much stress as possible and process the thoughts. You need to lean into stress, don't run away from stress. A lot of people run away from it. They think before what they're going to do instead of actually tackling it. And the reason why, if you tackle stress, you get a better effect and you release the chemical dopamine, which is a feel-good hormone. So the more you run away and don't deal with the situation, it just gets worse and worse and builds up more stress.
Absolutely.
Where you can just attack the situation, lean into it, and then stress becomes like, you know what, whatever. That doesn't bother me anymore. Yeah, I think that the most important, you've got to look after your guts. The gut's got to be cleaner. So gut health is the most important, and you've got to reduce inflammation in the gut. So the more you reduce inflammation in the gut, the better your brain and body will be able to function, as well as get the best sleep. So you've got to look at foods that reduce inflammation.
Yeah.
If you've got more inflammation, you're going to be more in chronic fatigue. So you want to reduce inflammation. So foods like high omega-3, fatty fish, your berries, your different types of berries, your greens, your spinach, your kale. Those are examples of foods that reduce your omega-3, flaxseed oil. That's another one, because you want to have your omega-6, omega-3, you want to have an equal ratio.
Sure. Yeah.
The problem with at the moment they're having is your omega-6, like your poultry, your eggs and red meat, are like, in America it's 25 and the omega-3 is like a 1. So that's why they have so much cancer and obesity, because there's too much inflammation, chronic inflammation in the body. So if your body's got chronic inflammation, then it's in a stress state every single time, every second. You can't have it. Remember, so otherwise your body's just fighting against resistance, where it should be fighting against other things that's coming up from the day.
Like stress.
So I think the best thing is gut health, reduce your inflammation, and you'll be good to go for high performance.
You know, I could summarize it, and maybe you could just say yes or no, or expand or anything. That would be the 90-minute recovery breaks. That would be the so understanding your chronotype. Obviously eating better so you avoid the inflammation. Anything else?
Leaning into stress.
Leaning into stress.
Good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think, lean into stress. I think, and prioritize and have purpose. What you do, like when you wake up in the morning, have purpose, have a meaning, like a purpose and clarity. You know, whether you like a job, you don't like a job, find ways to like something and have purpose. Because if you don't wake up with a good mindset, there's no recovery. You're going into a stress state. And another key thing is your first 90 minutes is your window of recovery. So if you're rushing to work in the morning, shouting at your partner, the kids, conflict with your partner, or waking up miserable and upset, your recovery is gone for the day. Your first 90 minutes is going to set the tone for your other recovery throughout the day. The first 90 minutes. We call it the window of opportunity. Let's call it that. The window of opportunity is your first 90 minutes, and that'll set you rest for the recovery on the day. If you mess up the 90 minutes for the first day, chances of you to catch up on the recovery, it's always going to be a fighting thing. So the first 90 minutes, you need sunlight, movement, high protein breakfast, after 2 hours. So you always want a bit of a fast in the morning. Remember, because your pancreas takes at least 2 hours to process carbohydrates if you're having carbs in the morning. And then you can do a negative brain dump then you're set for the day. Boom. You can go on Successful Sleep on my Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Barry Bridges. So there's always, I do a lot of post content on LinkedIn. There's my videos that come up with different podcasts. And if you go on my website, successfulsleeper1word.com, there are downloadable free resources available as well. So you'll have access to my sleep recovery program, which is a 4-page PDF, which helps you identify your chronotype. There's a lot of things in the program as well that's beneficial.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Brad, for spending your time with me today, and hopefully reaching as many people as possible to improve their sleep game. And then, as a side result, get better traders, make that money, and get themselves out of those jobs.
Yeah, and then they send it to the sleep coach. Wow, how's that fun?
The sleep coach. Yeah. If you
I need to start traveling on a jet. I need to get the jet going. I can't be traveling in a car anymore. It's not working out for me.
You need those 90 minutes in the air. I get it. So if we ever do make the money, you know who to spend that money on. I appreciate your time, and thank you very much, Barry. Have a great day. Peace out.
I love gold so much that I even lost my genitalia in an unfortunate smelting accident.
Oh, Jesus Christ.